Hi, garden friends. It's Miss Kelly, your garden teacher. Let's have some fun today. Okay, we're going to talk about patterns, shapes, and cycles in nature. Okay, what is the shape of a snail shell? Have you ever looked at a snail before? Seen the neat pattern on its shell? It's a spiral. Wow, did you ever know that? So many great things happening in nature right before our eyes, and most times we probably don't even know they are there. Okay, in this picture, we see three different patterns. What's a pattern? A pattern is something that we recognize and something that repeats over and over again. So we're able to recognize it. That's basically what a pattern is. If you see this picture here, we see a soil that is very dry, lots of cracks, probably not a lot of rain here for a very long time. Okay, but you can see there's a bit of a pattern there, isn't there? Lots of lines and unique looking pattern on that soil. To the right here, we see what looks like a flower, the inside of a flower, inside the middle. Does anyone know what flower that is? I bet some of you said sunflower. If you did, you'd be right. That's the inside part of the sunflower. You can see there's definitely a pattern there, something that we would recognize. We're able to tell right away that's a sunflower plant. Down here on the bottom, this one's a little bit easier, isn't it? The pattern we see here, this is a white big animal with black stripes. Does anyone know what this is? If you said a zebra, you would be right. All zebras have this kind of a pattern. So what do you know about patterns? Do you know you can make your own pattern? Let's do that now. Ready? Clap, clap, pause. Clap, clap, pause. Clap, clap, pause. Clap, clap, pause. You guys can do this with me. Use your hands, 2 claps, pause, 2 claps, pause. What I just did was make a pattern, right? It's something that you now recognize and something that continues on its own. Okay, that is a pattern. Wow, we use patterns every day, don't we? In this example here, this would probably be something that you would see in one of your math classes. Okay, you learn about patterns when you study math. Okay, it helps us think logically. What comes next? When we see a pattern, we want to know what happens next. Okay, so in this pattern up here, if you look at this, we see green, blue, green, green, blue, green, green, blue. What would be the next color block that would go here? What do you think if you look at that pattern? If you said green, a green square, you would be right. On the pattern on the bottom, we have a red circle, a yellow square, an orange circle, a yellow square, a red circle, a yellow square, an orange circle, a yellow square. What would go here? If you can follow the pattern or the rhythm, what would it be? If you said a red circle, you would be right. There are lots of patterns in nature. Trees, from this picture right here, you can see tree branches. If you were to act out a tree branch, everybody put your arms up, okay? Be a tree branch. Okay, somehow show your arms like a tree. You would probably put your arms up like this. Can you see even here on my body? There's almost a V shape here, isn't there? Do you know the pattern for branches? Every branch has that kind of a V shape when it comes off of the tree trunk, okay? That is a notoriously regular pattern for trees. Okay, so we would know that a tree, if we saw a branch, any kind of a branch, you would say that's a branch because they all look very similar in their own way. Okay, right here we see the ocean, picture of the waves crashing up on the shore. Do you know the ocean has the same pattern? The waves go up on the shore and then the waves go back into the water. They go up and they go back. So you can use your hands with me to show the waves going up and back, up and back, up and back. There you go. The difference in the tide tells you how far the waves go on the shore and how far the waves go back out, but the pattern is the same. It's always up and then back, up and then back. Okay, that's how come we recognize a wave. Okay, we know, we say, oh, look at the tide. It goes up and back. That is the pattern of the ocean. Okay, and it helps us decide what comes next. Well, we know if it's up, we know it's going to go back, right? So that's kind of neat about patterns. It shows us ways. We always know what's going to happen next. Okay, so another pattern we have in our life, okay, is called symmetry. That means one side is equal to the other. So if you take your hand and you put it right down the middle of your face, okay, I want everyone to do this, and hopefully you can see yourselves, okay, in your camera on your screen. One side of your face is going to look very similar to the other side. Okay, that's symmetry. Symmetrical, we like to say. Faces are symmetrical. So one side of our face looks almost exactly like the other side of our face. One side of our body looks almost exactly like the other side of our body. Okay, nature is the same. A lot of things in nature are symmetrical. If you look at the picture of this butterfly, you will see a butterfly is exactly the same on one side as it is on the other. Lots of plants are symmetrical. Okay, lots of insects, animals, just like people, very symmetrical. The one side is very equal to the other. Okay, shapes. What about shapes in nature? There are so many different kinds of shapes in nature. There's triangles, there's circles, there's squares. Okay, the most readily available shape, that means the shape that happens the most in nature, is called a hexagon, a six-sided shape. Okay, six-sided shapes are everywhere in nature. We probably don't even realize it, but when you look at a beehive, you will see the little pockets of the beehive have six sides, okay, a hexagon. Chocolate, if you love to eat chocolate like I do, the actual chemical compounds in chocolate, if you like chemistry, actually is shaped like a hexagon, okay? Six-sided shape there, the chemical compound of chocolate. Up here we see a pencil. Did you know that your pencils actually have six sides? Hey, you know, when you hold a pencil, it's not round, is it? It has all of those little sides. And you know how hard it is to break a pencil? You can't really even do it. You have to try so hard to break your pencil. That's because anything that has six sides is very strong. It's a very strong shape. Okay, just in nature, lots and lots of things are that shape. The back of a turtle shell, those little parts of the shell that connect together, those are hexagon shape. Snake skin is hexagon. The pattern on the snake skin is all hexagon shape. Same with a giraffe. And this I love. If you ever look at a piece of fruit, the outside of that hard fruit of a peel, like an orange or a lemon or a lime, that's actually the bumpy part is actually a hexagon shape. If you had a good enough microscope, you could look under there, you would see that little bumpy part is actually in the shape of a hexagon. Wow, who knew? Okay, spirals, another great shape in nature. We look around, so many things are spiral. Tons of things in nature. We see this butterfly, its little tongue part there is a spiral. What about this? This is an octopus arm. Okay, an octopus has the ability to coil up its arms into spirals, and they can uncoil them when they want to grab things. Okay, this is actually a plant up here, a fern. This is this little seed pod area. It's in that little coil. And this looks like a bird's nest. Birds build their nests in circular or spiral patterns because it's much, much stronger that way. You can see in the octopus too, all of those circles, the middle part is very strong and very protected. That's why nature builds its things in spirals. And remember, some of you older kids, when we grew sugar snap peas, do you remember the peas that grew up the vine and they had those little tiny tendrils that came off in little spirals that connected onto the wire so that the pea plant stood up? Okay, so you'll see those little spirals everywhere in nature. All right, the story of cycles. Okay, we talked about patterns and shapes. What are cycles in nature? That's something that is continuous, right? How something fits together kind of in a circle. The top, we remember we buried our banana peel way back. It was the first lesson we did in September. We put the banana in the dirt and it turned back into soil. Okay, then another banana tree is able to grow, and then the banana comes off, and then we put the banana peel back in the soil, and it turns to more soil to grow more banana trees. So the cycle continues. It's a continuous thing, like a circle. This cycle we learned too. Remember, we just hatched the baby chicks. The egg started, right? We start with the egg and the little chick was born, and then the little chick will grow up into a chicken that will hatch another egg, and then another little chick will be born. So this cycle continues, right? It's a circle, a forever going circle in nature. There's lots of these in nature. Butterfly life cycle is another cycle. We've learned about that before. We have the weather cycle, right? Where water comes from. We have lots of cycles in nature. These two, though, that we talked about already this year in our garden. All right, so when we think about a cycle, there's another cycle that we can do, okay? It's called recycle. I know you've heard that before. It's where you take something that is old and you reuse it as many times as you can before you throw it away, so they are able to use that product again and again and again. It's much better for the earth, okay? And it's much better for everyone around us if we use less resources. Okay, so let's see what Audrey did. Our friend Audrey made us another video, okay? The story of a t-shirt.
Every day we engage in cycles. Patterns are like clues from nature, showing us how things are organized and connected. What might these patterns be telling us? Now let's think back to other patterns or cycles that we've experienced together. How can these cycles help us think in new ways? Where else can we try to think in cycles? By observing these patterns, we might see a creative place to jump in and make a change.
All right, very good, you guys. So you saw in the video, Audrey took her t-shirt. She was going to throw it away, and then she decided, you know what? I can use this for so many other things. She used it to help clean a window. She rewashed it. She cut out a scarf for her head. She made a bracelet. She made all of these really kind of fun and interesting things out of that one t-shirt instead of throwing it in the trash. So you know what? You guys can be creative too. Think about other uses for things before you just throw something in the trash. Think, hey, is there another way that I can use that? Okay, that is a great cycle of the earth that we can all help with. Okay, that's recycling. Okay, my friends, when we're talking about patterns in nature and shapes and cycles and all these things that are around us, we don't often get to really see them up close. Okay, this is something I want you to see. This is pretty cool. We're going to try to decide, can you figure out what this is? This is a very close up view of what we're talking about here. You can see the pattern, right? Can you see that stripe? All of those little lines that are connecting. Okay, if we click again, this is bringing it out a little bit more. We still can't quite tell what it is, but we can still see, wow, there's lots of lines there. It almost looks like some sort of cotton or something very soft. You know what? I was wrong. It's a snowflake. Okay. By looking up close and seeing the patterns of things in our earth and in nature, we're able to come up with lots of answers. How does this whole thing work? Right. And we can often start with the pattern. Okay. What kind of pattern or structure is there? All right. You can be a scientist too. If you have time and your teacher says it's okay, there's lots of other things you can do with patterns. Okay. We have some pattern you can do with your snacks. We have some nature notes. Okay. The art of patterns. We have some things you can do with math. Okay. We even have a yoga thing you can do with patterns. Some things about trees. Okay. Or even a great story about swirls. I'll let your teacher decide if he or she is ready to do that with you, or if you have time to do that. Okay, but before I go, I wanted to show you guys what I did. Okay, while I was doing this lesson, I also was thinking about patterns in nature. So I went outside just to see what I could see around me. What is happening in my front yard? Okay, and I saw some really interesting things. Okay, I saw this plant, which I cut off of my potted plant. Okay, this is a succulent, but this is a great pattern. Can you see that? All those neat things on those leaves. You never know, right? You never know what kind of patterns you're going to see even outside your door. This is another plant I have in my garden, another succulent. Can you see that? That's an amazing spiral plant. Perfect example. All of those really neat leaves in there in a beautiful circle. Okay, and like I said, I found this right outside my door when I was looking today. My neighbor has lots of flowers and she let me borrow one of these. This is a daisy. Can you see that pattern? How pretty is that? Anytime you see this, you know this is a daisy. Has the kind of petals. It has a white circle around the center. Okay, that's a daisy flower. If you cut that flower right down the middle in half, okay, can't really do it on there. I bet it would be symmetrical. I bet it's almost exactly the same on the other side. And you look at the colors and the shapes of the petals, okay? So you would recognize that. There's a certain pattern there, isn't there, just on this flower? Another thing I wanted to show you, this is a branch from the tree I found outside. Can you see all the little V's that are there with the branches? Remember we talked about that. The pattern of branches is very similar on any tree or even bush that you see. Okay, it all kind of have that sort of a V pattern right there where the branches come off the stem. Okay, that is for structure. That helps make sure those branches stay nice and strong. But every branch, every tree will have the same kind of a V structure. So I bet you could find a lot of that if you went outside. Look at your trees and your bushes, the plants around you. Can you find those little V marks or little V's where the branches meet? I bet you can. And another beautiful flower. My favorite too is a sunflower. Can you see how beautiful that is? The inside, I wish you could see it. It's too dark to see on the Zoom call, but there's actually a spiral pattern inside the middle. Okay, lots of different circular spiral patterns, even in that black part. Okay, and you can see the leaves of a sunflower. Do you know all sunflower leaves have that, the petals have that little line right down the middle? Okay, can you see that line on the petals? That is something a sunflower has. So even if you weren't quite sure, but you saw that line or pattern on the petal, you would know that that's a sunflower. Okay, so lots of things to discover outside if you just walk out there. I bet if you look at leaves and branches and trees, if you look at the grass, I bet you will see there's some sort of a pattern there. Okay, because nature works in patterns. Patterns make it easy for nature to know what comes next, okay, and gives nature the ability to keep all its plants and animals strong. Okay, all right, friends, I had a great time today. I hope you did too. It's really nice to be able to zoom in and to do a lesson, and I hope that you guys have a great summer. I probably won't see you before then. Okay, but no, we are working so hard on your gardens. Okay, the garden will be beautiful with new beds and new flowers and fruits and vegetables be ready for you guys when you come back in the fall. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great summer And I hope to see all of you soon. All right. Bye, friends.